So, The Ghost from the Grand Banks and the Deep Range by Arthur C. Clarke. On the theme of marine-themed science fiction that I've been recording recently, I read this one in 2021 when it was over 10 years old. I don't remember it very well anymore. I came across this review to remind myself of it. At the time when I read it, I gave it 4 out of 5 Goodreads stars, and I thought it was an excellent work of science fiction and oceanic adventure, which I'd somehow never got around to before. Though now I'm not even sure if I hadn't got around to it before. Maybe I'd read it previously and forgotten it, because I've clearly forgotten it already. It's set in the future of 2010, which was 20 years after it was written. So it's an older sci-fi. It sort of bridges the classic sci-fi, though it could be called classic sci-fi, but I guess it's nudging into the more recent sci-fi. It was written, I believe, for the centennial of the sinking of the Titanic. No, that can't be right. It must have been set in the centennial of the sinking of the Titanic. Yeah. And you've got 2 different teams aiming to use different fascinating groundbreaking technologies, 2 quite different teams, to raise the pieces of the wreck. There's a bit of a race and a competition between them, as I recall. Arthur C. Clarke is an institution of science fiction, and in this one he creates a marvellous yarn, and it doesn't really suffer from the fact that the future he describes is now very thoroughly in our past. The writing is excellent. It's got all the professional polish that you'd expect from an author of his stature. And you've got all the science that you'd expect from a science writer of his background, which I really enjoyed. I love the character of Bradley and the introduction of him, though, through the encounter with the giant octopus. How do I forget something with a cephalopod in it? I don't know, but I did. Anyway, the ill-fated attempts to raise the Titanic on the part of both teams were splendidly formulated plans of speculative fiction with a solid underpinning of science. I enjoyed the science, I do remember that. In so many small ways, though, I found that Clarke had formulated a future that not quite right for what we're actually seeing in the world, but often hauntingly similar in small ways to the 2021 that actually existed. We don't have a job description of mathematicians editing out cigarettes from old movies using a program so they can be re-released. I don't know that we're far off that, though. It's been a long time since I saw a movie with cigarettes in it. Maybe they are doing that and I just don't know about it. If you know, let me know. Given society's current attitude to smoking, at least in Australia, I don't think we're far off, even if we're not. Clarke was quite wrong about society's attitude to sex in the pathological services. We're getting more and more conservative about sex compared to the early science fiction days, not less so. The research that went into many aspects of the book is quite impressive. The sources and the appendix, that really interested me when I read them. There was a lot. So I found it to be excellent sci-fi in the best possible way, but despite being marine and having an octopus, I obviously haven't remembered it terribly well, so hence the review. I'll probably have forgotten it in another 5 years. Like, comment, says Goodreads. Subscribe. Definitely comment. I want to talk about this one.